good afternoon. I'm now on my way to meet with a lawyer, a criminal lawyer. Perhaps he will be my advocate in the coming trial. So I wanted to address a very small but perhaps important point. Some people say, I've seen in the comments, they say, okay, we understand you want to start an empire, an industrial empire, but you talk about pharmaceuticals, diamonds, perhaps golds, perhaps even, you said that it's not, for now, but maybe for later, microprocessors and integrated circuits. But you must know that, the issue with such things is not only the physical entities, but even more so, and probably much more important, is the intellectual property. You cannot copy a AMD processor or NVIDIA processor or Intel chipset, and just because you have the ability to actually reproduce it, perhaps even in mass scale, doesn't give you the right to actually do so. The most important thing is the intellectual property, which you cannot copy. Even you are not allowed to do it, legally allowed to do it. So my response is the following. No one needs to lecture me in regards to intellectual property. I see myself actually as a bit of an expert in the field, specifically with everything that is related specifically to software, software licenses and software intellectual property. So yeah, I've actually delved into the matter in my past, as part of my job, part of my profession, and you know me that I always dig not only deeper but also on the sides. So I've studied a little bit of the issues involved with regards to not only to software per se, but to other related fields and licenses, and also studied a little bit the issue of licenses in general and intellectual property in general, with regards to arts and to industrial artifacts and commercial contracts and etc. But I'm not too bothered by that because of several key points. The first is, as I've already saying, my main interest right now is diamonds and perhaps gold, but specifically diamonds. Perhaps gold nuggets as well, but we'll see about that. And these do not carry with them any kind of intellectual property. It is true that specific shaping of a diamond might actually carry with it intellectual property issues, but this is debatable, and we are far from being there. We are still, lamentably, in the microscopic scale. Even though yesterday we have made a progress, as you've seen in the YouTube video, the last one that I uploaded. I think that we have made maybe yesterday big progress with regards to scaling, because I've actually I think managed to enrich the Nero juice, as you've seen in your own eyes in the video. Under the microscope, it was clearly that it was an enriched juice, because it contained much more Neros and in much larger average size than the ones that we were used to by now when we inspected the same kind of samples, and we've inspected many samples. So we have a very large reference. And also, we should say that it was one slide, but two separate samples out of the same mix, but two separate drops with two separate glass covers, and both of the samples, it was demonstrated that the large both quantity and average size of the Neros. So yes, we are on the way to scaling, and I'm very excited about it. So it might be the time to discuss IP. So as I was starting to say, with regards to diamonds, perhaps there is a big issue of a specific shaping, but I mean, we are not on the. I mean, we are not there already, and it's not like I'm not going to shape the next Hope Diamond tomorrow, the diamonds of the crown of King Charles III or whatever. It's not my. I'm not going to compete with that. At least not very soon. And with regards to small diamonds, there is no issue with this particular shaping because their shapes are actually common. They are in the common property. They are. It's not something that needs to be like both a specific license or specific in the symbol, like a commercial symbol or something like that. And I'm not even sure that I'm going to do the shaping myself. I'm certain that the Neros can do the shaping because we've seen them actually performing jobs with much more. The required accuracy is much higher than that is needed for shaping of a diamond. So I'm not bothered by that, but perhaps it's not actually. Perhaps it's. I mean, we should wait and see. But perhaps a simpler like course of action with regards to commercial availability and scalability is to manufacture raw diamonds and just sell the raw diamonds. I mean, there are plenty of people even in Israel that they are excellent in the trade of shaping diamonds. So Israel is one of the centers of the war. I mean, it was actually when I was younger. Actually, I mean, it's a story for another time. But when I grew up in Ramat Aviv, many of like my friend, my buddies, like their parents actually worked in the diamond industry in Israel. Actually, since then it was considerably weakened because the entrance of a strong competitor from the east, and actually I even know firsthand of several figures in the industry that went broke, like people that I knew personally. But still, Israel even after all those mishappenings, even today they are still pretty strong within the industry of shaping. So even if I have raw diamonds, I mean, it's still profitable enough to just sell it and or hire someone to shape it for me. I mean, it's still, and that way I still have the finished product with me, I mean, in my hands. So it's not a problem. Now, with regard to pharmaceutical, of course, IP is a huge issue. I mean, most of actually, when a drug is like approved for commercial use, the actual manufacturing costs are almost nothing. But sometimes drugs cost, we know that they cost tons of money. But this is, of course, required in order to compensate for the huge money that was invested in R&D prior to the release of the drug. So yeah, with regard to pharmaceuticals, for certain there is an IP issue, but I mean, we are not there yet. So it doesn't bother me. It's not like my main. It's something that I conduct research in parallel to other stuff, but it's not my main issue right now. I would say in general, with regard to both pharmaceuticals and for other stuff like integrated circuits and CPU processors, that one thing should be remembered: I do not see myself as a replicator, and I do not see the Neros as replicators. I know that this is maybe the standard way to look at them, but it's not the correct view, because what they actually do is that they manufacture stuff, they generate stuff. And as I said many times, I have enough experience to know that what they actually do is that they create models. They create models of the things that are in front of them, and by interacting with the Neros, which is something that I learned how to do for a while now, and I will continue to learn how to do it. You actually can tell the Neros to learn specific models and to try to develop new stuff with regards to the models that they already have in their memory. And we know it was actually demonstrated scientifically beyond any doubt, like positively demonstrated, that they have memory and they communicate with each other and they remember how things. I mean, they remember the models. This was, I think, proved without shred of doubt in the XNILO. The XNILO experiment, which I conducted, and I've showed you three videos of the XNILO, and it was proved without any doubt that first of all, life can be generated from dead matter, and second, and even more importantly for our context, or maybe it's not more important in the general philosophy, like the scheme of events. But if we leave philosophy aside and for the context of commercialization of the Neros, it's important. It was important to prove without any doubt that they have they possess symbolic language and that they possess memory, and they as an entity, like as a unified entity, they have memory of the models that they already studied and placed in their memory. So when it will be like time to discuss, issues of IP with regards to both pharmaceuticals and electronics, I think we should all remember that it's not that certain that replication will be my main direction. It's probably not going to be my main direction, because that's not how the way that the Neros work, even in the most microscopic scale. Even at the most microscopic scale, we can see that they are not replicators per se, but they are more like generators and learners. And perhaps they will surprise everybody and create drugs that are actually better than any kind of existing drugs, and integrated circuits and processor and chipsets that are better than everything that is on currently available on the market. Now, even if this is established, still people can say that there were IP issues on the process, because the product could be regarded as derivative work. And derivative work is something that is not like in the common in the public domain, and it's a very complicated issue. But we'll get there. Let's not jump the shark already. I understand the issue of derivative work, and it also exists in the software business. It's actually very complicated in the software industry, and I'm sure that when we get there, I will know what to do, and if needed, with whom to consult. So don't worry, no intellectual property is going to be hurt along the way. It should be mentioned that if everything that I do is just for the sake of myself in my own home, without selling anything and without distributing anything, the IP issues do not exist at all, because it's only relevant if these things are distributed. If it's just done in my own room with nobody is actually consuming it or buying it or even know of its existence, so it's not something that we should worry about. Because all licensing issues and IPs and etc. and public commercial symbols, everything is only relevant when things have any kind of visibility. When we speak about software, there is the issue of distribution, or when we speak about art, there is the issue of publication, and we speak about pharmaceutical, there's the issue of selling the stuff. But all kinds of, all of these are all subsets of the issue of making things visible. If it's not visible, then there is no issue of intellectual property. Okay, so bye for now.